Illinois High School Association Girls Gymnastics Tournament Finals. Originating live from Maine East High School in Park Ridge, Illinois. Brought to you by Illinois Bell, working to keep your telephone system the best in the world. By the people in your town who bottled Dr. Pepper, the most original soft drink. And by True Value Hardware Stores. If you use it in or around your home, you'll find it at your True Value Hardware Store.
Good evening, I'm Rick Talley, and with me is Kathy Krebs. Between us, we'll be bringing you coverage of the finals of the first Illinois High School Association Girls Gymnastics Meet. Now, girls gymnastics is a sport that has been rapidly expanding in recent years, and certainly it's one of the most graceful of all competitive events. Tonight, we'll be covering the final rounds of competition in 4 events. First, we'll have vaulting. Now, that will be followed by uneven parallel bars. The third event will be the balance beam, and the final competition of the evening will be floor exercises. Now, I'm going to ask Kathy to refresh your memory on how the scoring is done on each event. Kathy, by the way, is president of the Illinois High School Association Girls Gymnastics Coaches Association, as well as an official interpreter of girls gymnastics rules for the IHSA. She is also the coach of the team at Rich Each High School in Park Forest. Kathy?
Rick, 5 judges are selected to handle the scoring on each event. Immediately following each girl's performance, the judges vote from 1 to 10, depending on how they rank the achievement of the individual. 10 represents a perfect score, and 1 is the lowest ranking. Then the official score averages the scores by each of the judges, and that is what we will see flashed to the audience here in the gym and to our viewers.
Thank you, Kathy, and we'll be back to you for more background as the evening progresses. Right now, however, the contestants are taking part in the opening parade ceremonies. Let's take a look. Well, Kathy, these are the young ladies, and it's been a long road for them to reach this night here at Maine East High School. They had to compete first in district competition, didn't they?
That's right. They had to qualify through their districts. The top 5 individuals at their districts qualified to come to the prelims, which were held yesterday. And also at-large competitors were picked last Sunday, those people that had the highest scores in the state.
Well, so what we had then was we had a lot of competition yesterday afternoon and last night, and then they took the top 12 girls in each of these 4 events. So we have maybe 40 to 45 of really the best gymnastics competitors in the state of Illinois.
I'd say that the best competitors are here tonight. The people that did the best job in prelims yesterday definitely came through. Those people that weren't quite prepared and ready did not make the finals tonight. I think we will see a lot of interesting skills being performed tonight.
And I think we might point out now, and we'll let you know more about it later, there will also be a team championship awarded. And of course, the teams that brought more girls here have a better chance of winning the championship.
The team totals were totaled up last night, and any girls that made the individual finals this evening will add their scores to the team championship scores.
Well, as you can hear in the background, we certainly have some fans from many of the high schools. Almost all of these schools, of course, are Chicago's suburban schools. Not too many of the schools in downstate Illinois have girls gymnastics.
Very few schools have girls competing in gymnastics. We have some in the Carbondale area and 1 or 2 scattered throughout eastern Illinois, but most of the schools are from the suburban area, and we also have a good sampling from the Moline area.
Okay, Kathy, and it's almost time now for the competition in vaulting to begin. We'll be back to cover it right after this. Well, we're back again at Maine East High School. This is Rick Talley, and with me, Kathy Krebs. And Kathy, we're about to begin the vaulting competition. The first competitor will be a high school sophomore from Palatine, Lori Erickson, and she's really a talented girl.
Rick, her preliminary score to get into the final competition was 8.0. She's an outstanding gymnast. She's about ready to begin to vault here, so
Now, this word we see, pre-flight here, this is one of the factors that enters into her competition, into how the judges decide how well she does.
Pre-flight is the phase from the takeoff of the board until she arrives on the horse. It's extremely important that she hits the board very hard and that she lifts her heels quickly to perform the type of vault that she will be doing.
This is Laurie's first vault. Laurie Erickson of Palatine. Now, each girl vaults twice, and explain to us how the judges decide what her best vault is and what counts in the scoring.
The judges average each vault separately, and then the better of the two averages is the score that will be counted toward the team total and the individual event award.
So theoretically, it won't happen, or we would hope it wouldn't happen, but she could have a bad vault this time. She could trip, she could fall, but they would still score the first one, and she could still score very high.
That's correct.
This is Laurie's second vault.
Laurie's vault is based on a 10.0 high ranking, and the name of the vault that she did is called a Yamashita with a half twist.
Now there are four judges, and they throw out the top score and the bottom score, and then they average out the second and third scores.
That's correct. They throw out the highest score and the lowest score, average the two, and then that average must be within the range of the superior judge.
Now, Kathy, we talked a little about pre-flight there. What are some of the other things that the judge is looking for in competitions such as vaulting?
Well, once she arrives on the horse, she must have good repulsion, and repulsion is the process of hitting your hands on the horse, blocking through your shoulders, and rising off of the horse. After flight is the phase from the moment her hands leave the horse. Her body should rise upward and should be in a horizontal position after she rises upward. And then her downward flight ends in the landing on the floor. Direction of the vault entails whether she went off to the side of the horse. General balance and landing includes whether she lands crumpled over or if she takes a step.
This is the second competitor from Deerfield, Penny PRELLBERG. Now that little skip step right at the end, is that something that costs her points?
It costs her 1 to 2 tenths, 1/10 for each step.
On the landing?
On the landing, right.
1/10 for each step.
Penny is doing a Yamashita with a half.
Now she's a junior at Deerfield High School, and as we told you, Laurie Erickson was just a sophomore. In the preliminaries, Penny had an 8.35 preliminary score, which is quite excellent, actually.
Most of the vaulting scores were in the middle to upper 8s yesterday.
So then she was a little lower. There's her second vault. And trouble on the landing.
Right. She was a little bent over, didn't quite get her body up in an erect position, landed with her feet apart, and she had to take a step backward to maintain her balance.
Isaacson's 8.95.
Now there's the first score on the first competitor, Laurie Erickson. As you see, an 8.95, and Kathy, she has to be happy with 8.95.
She certainly does, considering that she had an average yesterday of 8.0. That's an increase of 9/10, which is a very difficult thing to do from a meet from one day to the very next day.
This is Tracy Moore. She's from Palatine Friend High School, also a junior. She's coached by Miss Janet Trees. Her preliminary score is 7.75, so she would hope to bring that up a notch if she wants to be in competition with these young ladies tonight. Tracy Moore.
Tracy also did a Yamashita with a half twist. She had a pretty solid landing. She could have risen just a little bit more on the post flight. And let's see what she has here. Good takeoff, good repulsion, but she didn't quite let her upper body rise up to her toes, and her downward flight went straight down instead of going up and out.
All right, this is I think this is Tracy's second vault.
Right. Same vault again.
Yeah, this is Tracy Moore again.
That was a little bit better. She did rise a little bit higher, but then she had to take a step on her landing.
Next performer, wrestlers from MSSY.
Now, this is a replay of her second vault.
Ruth Lawrence.
Okay, let's watch and see how much rise she gets off the horse. She sagged on her shoulders a little bit, and you can see that the rise wasn't quite as high as would be preferred, and she didn't quite finish her twist. She landed a little off balance.
Now we back up to Penny PRELLBERG's score of 8.45, and as you recall, Laura Erickson was 8.95. So we'll be running about one competitor behind on each
Penny's score increased by 1/10 of a point.
All right. This is our fourth competitor, Ruth Lawrence of Evanston, also a sophomore. Only her second year of gymnastics.
Ruth had a 5/10 deduction for landing on her seat. She didn't really get off the board quickly enough. The vault that she was attempting is a handspring with a full twist on the post-flight side.
Well, you know, Kathy, this in itself is remarkable. Now, here's a young lady who only last year as a freshman took up gymnastics, and I think we'll find many girls here tonight who have taken to gymnastics only in the last couple of years. There must be quite an upsurge throughout the high schools in gymnastics for the girls.
There's a very large upsurge, and I think one thing that's amazing is to see in 1 year a gymnast doing a handspring with a full twist, which is a very difficult vault to do. Much better. She landed a little off balance, but she did get off the board a little harder.
Now let's take a replay and take a look at Ruth's second vault.
Okay, she has a little bit better run. Hits the board a little harder. Her heels get up a little better, but she started to twist before her hands hit the horse, and as a result,
Came down
could not
sideways.
could not finish the twist on the post-flight side. Had to take a step off to the side.
Now here's the score on Tracy Moore, number 33, and she had an 8.7, which puts her right in between the first two competitors. So still after the first three competitors, Laura Erickson of Palatine leads with 8.95.
Mark Sanford, Missy Morris.
Okay, coming up we have Missy Morris from Carl Sandburg High School. Missy's a senior, and her preliminary score was a 7.7.
Her coach, Nancy Powell, 5 years she's had of gymnastics, perhaps in either in high school level or in club activity.
That's right. Many gymnasts before the high school program started trained at clubs, private clubs, and then when the opportunity came to compete with their high schools, then they switched over to their high school teams.
This is Missy Morris from Carl Sandburg.
Missy did a Yamashita vault. She had pretty good rise on the post flight. We'll take a look at the replay. Notice the strong run that she has coming down the floor.
That's important, isn't it?
Yes, and the rise in the body. The only problem with that vault was that she let her hips drop down into a V, and her chest should rise up to her toes to be technically correct.
She doesn't look too nervous, does she?
No,
as
she
prepares
doesn't.
for her second vault.
She looks pretty calm.
I think that's the 5 years of experience comes in there too, don't you think?
Oh, yeah.
Kathy?
And developing confidence within yourself is half the battle.
She looks pretty loose.
Here comes her second vault.
Missy Morris of Carl Sandburg High School. She's a senior.
Okay, here comes the replay. Again, a good solid run is essential. Good takeoff, quick heel lift, and again she dropped her hips a little bit, but she did bring her chest up a little better.
And just prior to Missy, we had Ruth Lawrence, who had the trouble on her landing, and she scored 7.9.
Right.
Sophomore from Evanston High School, Ruth Lawrence. That's her score.
Ruth increased
right there.
her score by 0.2 from yesterday. Coming up next is Karen Seal from Maine East. Karen is a sophomore. Her coach is Betty Axelson, who is also the meet director here this evening.
And she's got a lot of girls in this
Oh,
meet.
she sure does, at least 10. Here's her first vault.
She had a lot of distance on that vault.
She
Does that
sure
matter?
did, right. She had the vault is called a half twist on, half twist off.
Let's take another look at this. She had probably more distance than any of the girls, and look at the speed.
Powerful runner.
Karen Seal.
Good takeoff. Twist just before she hit the horse, and completed the twist on the other side, but again had so much power, momentum coming off that she had to take a step to control her landing.
So now she'll try the same vault again.
Second vault coming up right now.
Would you like that one better?
I
I put you on the spot.
Let's watch the replay, and maybe we'll be able to see it a little.
Kathy, you're just like football coaches. You always have to see the films.
That's right.
This is Karen Seal again on her second vault.
Half on, half off. Oh, her legs were apart a little bit more than she was on the first vault, and she didn't quite complete her twist on the post-flight side before her landing. So I'd say the second vault might have been a little worse than the first vault.
But as we explained before, they don't take the two vaults and average them. They take the best of the two. But we'll be back and talk more about the scoring and, of course, more action from this competition right after this message. Now, this is a look at the leaders board after the first 6 competitors. Of course, Laura Erickson, still number 1, Tracy Moore in the number 2 position. The first vaulter of the evening was the sophomore, Laura Erickson, and she is the leader.
Vaulting is Janet Kruger.
This is a young lady from Maine South High School. She's only a sophomore also.
Her coach is Phyllis Gall. Her preliminary score was 8.03. Her vault is a half on, half off. She's been in competition since she was 11 years old, 3 years. Second vault is coming up.
Janet Kruger.
Janet did another half on, half off. Had slightly bent arms on her second vault.
All right, let's take another look at Janet on her second vault. Got the pigtail flying.
She had quite a bit of an arch, and you could see on the replay there that she had to bend her arms a lot to get off the horse. Landed in a poor body position, legs apart. Never really got any flight off the horse. Our next vaulter is Kathy Brizolara from Maine East.
Kathy's a junior, and she's also under Betty Axelson. This is quite a Maine East aggregation we have here this evening.
Her vault that she indicated before will be a half on, half off. Much better form than the previous half on and half offs.
This is Kathy again, the junior from Maine East High School, a replay of her first vault.
Legs were apart just a little bit and a slight flexion in her hip area once she hit the horse, which did cause her to lose some post-flight. Her
Kathy Brizolara.
second vault is coming up now.
Now, that little jump step at the end, again, are they expected to land and stop in the very place that they land?
Yes, they are, and you'll see one of the reasons why she has a hard time landing is because of the bad post-flight. Bend her arms, her legs are apart, and on the ending, her body was pretty much behind her. The momentum carried her forward.
Well, this is the score for Janet Kruger, 8.4. That was the sophomore from Maine South.
Coming up next, we have Ellen Barrett from Maine East again.
And I would say, judging from the noise in the gymnasium, that she's one of the more popular and maybe one of the more talented competitors in this event.
Definitely. The vault that she's about to do is the most spectacular vault. It was only introduced a few years ago by a Japanese gymnast. The vault is a Sukahara.
Wow.
Oh. She'll improve it the next time, I'm sure. Didn't quite complete her rotation. Needed just a little more push off the horse so that she had time to complete her rotation.
She just didn't have time to finish it, did she?
That's right.
That's Ellen Barrett. She's a senior at Maine East High School, and certainly one of the favorites in this event.
Her preliminary score was 8.8. Coming up for our second vault in a moment. The judges are calculating their scores right now, and the green flag is up. Well, she completed it. She had, watch on the slow motion if we can.
Let's take a look at this again, Kathy.
Her hand placement is extremely poor. It's on the front side of the horse. Amazingly, I don't know how she managed to get off the horse to even rotate the back somersault without crashing. And she did land in a fairly stable position, but again, we're looking for a stretched body on the descent.
Now she is given points for the difficulty of the vault that she attempts, correct? Or at least credit for it. It matters more that she did a more difficult routine, a vault.
Well, all the vaults have a point value, and every vault that we've seen tonight is a 10.0 vault. But the judges do take into consideration the risk of each vault and the difficulty.
This is Mary Kay GEHARDT, a sophomore from Maine West High School, coached by Mrs. Judy Beck, and she scored 7.45 in the preliminaries.
She's been in gymnastics since she was 14, and has only had 2 years of experience, and here she is in the finals.
This is the first state championship meet for the Illinois High School Association in girls gymnastics, the first one.
And the first meet that's been televised for any girls athletics.
That's right. Later this year, the WGN will be bringing the girls basketball finals from Illinois State. That's on April 1 and 2. But this is our first venture into girls athletics, and we're happy to have you with us, Kathy.
Thank you. It's good to be here.
We need some expertise.
We're waiting for the judges' scores right now to come in, and then they will...
We're waiting on the score for Ellen Barrett, I think.
Yeah, we don't have Ellen's score yet either. And the flag is up.
Mary Kay GEHARDT from Maine West.
And her vault is a Yamashita.
Well, immediately following the completion of the vaulting competition, we'll see tonight's winners receive their championship awards. Be sure to stay tuned.
The scores for Ellen Barrett, 9.2.
That roar you hear is the 9.2 for Ellen Barrett. She had difficulty on that first vault, but came back admirably on the second, and that moved her into first place in the vaulting competition. Now this is Mary Kay GEHARDT's second vault.
Yamashita.
Again, some trouble on that landing. Well, Laurie Erickson is second.
Okay, here we go with the replay, and we're going to see that she really didn't get very much rise off the horse. Her arms bent. She had to really muscle her way through the vault. Her chest, her hips dropped down, and she had to take a couple of steps on her landing.
Well, there's the significant change on the scoreboard. Ellen Barrett from Maine East moves ahead of Laurie Erickson from Palatine.
This time that the girls do get the best of their two vaults.
Now we have Mary RAUGSTAD from Niles North. She's a senior at school located in Skokie.
Her coach is Carolyn Anderson, and her preliminary score was 7.7.
Another Yamashita coming up.
Hopefully, unless she changed it, since she told me.
What we need is to have enough great gymnasts in the United States, they start naming vaults after our people.
Yeah, ooh, was close. She really didn't have very high pre-flight. We'll see it here on the replay. Everything stayed pretty much in a straight line, and we should see a rise in each phase of the vault. Arms bent. She had to bend her legs to get her legs over, and dropping of the hips. Just overall a poor vault.
Well, I'm sure she knows it, and I'm
Yes.
sure she knows that,
And she
thank
knows-
goodness we've got a second one coming.
And she knows how to correct it too, or she wouldn't be here. Her second vault is coming up Yamashita again. Much better. Very nice.
She knows it too.
Yes.
We had a
She's
score.
happy with herself.
Excuse me, Kathy. While we see the replay, we had a score of 8.35 for Mary Kay Gerhardt on the vault immediately preceding this one. This is Mary RAUGSTAD.
Running hard, hitting the board much harder, quick heel lift, good rise. You can see the chest going up. She dropped her hips just slightly, which will be a deduction, but one of the best Yamashitas we've seen tonight.
And you're a judge. You people are tough.
Oh, we are.
Well, this is young Cheryl Lottie, and she is the only freshman in the vaulting competition. There are only, I think, 3 freshmen tonight here in the finals. This young lady has been in gymnastics for 4 years. She started when she was 10 years old, from Naperville North. Cheryl Lottie.
Her preliminary score is 7.55, and the green flag is up as she prepares. Her coaches are Linda K. Hawkins and Tony Rizzuto.
And I don't think she was too happy with it.
Nope, her coach is instructing her on how to improve it. Needs to run just a little faster and not a very hard takeoff off the board. She had to arch her back to get her legs up, and as a consequence couldn't get very good repulsion off the horse.
Well, you know, Kathy, up until now I really haven't told people just how qualified you are as a girls gymnastics commentator, and I'm not going to give them all of your credits, but certainly you competed at Illinois State University for 4 years, and you're the president of the Illinois High School Girls Gymnastics Coaches Association. That's a mouthful. And you've just really been involved since back when you were a competitor. Did you compete even before college in gymnastics?
No, I didn't.
So you competed at Illinois State, and you've coached at summer training centers, and you now coach at Rich East High School. And you know, I suppose to be a qualified judge, you have to really concentrate on it and stay up with everything, don't you?
You certainly do. You can't just walk into a gym and expect to evaluate the skills that gymnasts are doing today without actually being in the workout gym and learning what techniques are used in teaching these skills. And then you're able to understand the skill better, and you're able to evaluate whether the skill is done correctly or not.
Well, you know, it's like figure skating or diving. There's bound to be some controversy when you talk about subjective judging. I mean, there is no machine that can tell you how a girl should be scored. You have to really have professionals who give it their best judgment.
Well, that's true. It's to a certain extent, the judges try their hardest. I know that the judges worked very hard yesterday to make sure that the top 12 competitors were truly the top 12 competitors, and not just 1 or 2 that might have made a mistake on and didn't qualify. And our next competitor.
And the last one. This is the last vaulter of the evening, the 12th one. Excuse me. I think she's waiting on some mass discussion down here by the judges.
We have a judges consultation conference. Evidently the judges' scores, all 4 of them, are out of range, and they need to discuss what each deducted for.
Look at those papers and pencils.
Yes, they're flying. Down with them is the meet referee, Priscilla Gilroy, and she's trying to give them some guidance in the types of things that they should have looked for on that vault.
What did you mean when you said out of line, did you say?
Out of range with a superior judge's score. There's a certain range, a 2/10, 3/10, 5/10, and 1 point range, depending on where the scores fell. And those middle scores have to be within that superior judge's range.
Okay, now we have Pamela Collins, the final competitor in the vaulting. She's a senior from West Leiden High School in Northlake. Oops.
Handspring vault. Her preliminary score was 7.5.
This is a young lady who began when she was 4 years old in gymnastics, obviously in a private club gymnastics.
That means she's been in gymnastics for 13 years, a long time.
Yeah, and not only, of course, does she compete in vaulting, but in uneven parallel bars and floor exercises. So.
She is an all-around gymnast, but she qualified this evening on 3 events: vaulting, uneven parallel bars, and floor exercise. Her preliminary score was 7.5, and her second vault is coming up. Another handspring for Pamela. And we're coming up with a slow motion again. Replay. And you can see the heel rise, and but she has an arch in her body, and her arms drop down to her side on her post-flight, which does take away from the momentum that she already generated from her run. The score for Cheryl Lottie was 8.25.
Well, that completes the vaulting competition in this, the first statewide Illinois High School Association Girls Gymnastics Meet. We'll be back to see the winners receive their medals right after this. Well, this is a big moment for those young ladies who are gathering out on the floor to receive their medals. Let's join Dr. John Klauser for the presentations. Well, John Klauser is not here yet, but he can join us when he gets here because we're about to make a presentation to senior Ellen Barrett, and it was quite an impressive victory, actually, when you consider the difficulty of her vault and the fact that she failed on the first one, and that really left only one chance, and she succeeded quite well with a 9.2.
That's correct. We're waiting on the score for Pam Collins right now. That's why we have a slight delay. And the judges now are preparing for the next event, and Pam Collins' score was 8.5.
Excuse me, incorrect.
Oh, we have a correction here.
I'll tell you, with all those numbers and pencils and papers, I would be surprised if they can keep it perfect every time.
Yes, the correction is 8.05 on Pam Collins' vault. Pam did a handspring, as you recall. Coming up will be the awards presentation.
We have
The scores, the official scores, are
vaulting event.
double checking and making sure that
Following girls,
the averages were calculated correctly.
please move over to the award stand.
And the gentleman who will work with the presentation, Dr. John Klauser, is a principal of this host school, Maine Township East High School in Park Ridge. And he has served as a state final manager for this first IHSA Girls State Gymnastics Meet, and it's been quite a job between he and his assistant, Betty Axelson. I'd say they've done quite a remarkable job at the competition.
Betty's done a super job at organizing the competition. Yesterday she had 179 competitors, 61 different schools to organize.
I think each of the young ladies, we must apologize, we can't tell you what award they just hung on this young lady's neck.
It's the 6th place award.
Did they go all the way down to 6? That's why I was confused.
Yes.
I thought they only gave 3 medals. Well, this is the 6th place competitor. And
To make it all the way to finals and be one of the top 6 is quite an honor.
That's Miss Seal. Karen Seal of Maine East High School, isn't it? Now we're waiting on the judges to figure out who they want to.
This is Karen.
With a score of 8.55 from Niles North, Mary RAUGSTAD.
Mary RAUGSTAD from Niles North received the
She's 5th.
5th place award with a score of 8.55.
I think we wish we'd have had some of those 5th and 6th place medals in the Olympics even. It might have made it a little better.
Yes, it would. Next will be the 4th place finisher.
That will be Missy Morris.
4th place with a score of 8.7 from Sandburg, Missy Morris.
In 4th place, Missy Morris from Orland Park, Carl Sandburg High School. 8.7 was her average.
A very popular young lady here this evening.
8.7 for 3rd place and 4th, Tracy Moore.
Now we have a tie for 3rd place.
Tracy Moore from Palatine, Illinois, FREND High School.
In second place with a score of 8.95 from Palatine, Lori ERICKSON.
There's the sophomore from Palatine. Very talented young lady, Lori ERICKSON.
We'll see a lot of her this evening.
Yes, I think we'll see a lot of that smile.
Champion from Maine East High School with a score of 9.2.
Ellen, remember, did the Sukahara vault.
That's right.
Had difficulties on the first vault, came back, had a missed hand placement, and she touched the horse, but managed to work especially hard to complete the vault and score
Ellen Barrett.
quite well.
I think she scored a 9.2, didn't she?
She scored 9.2.
Yeah, 9.2. The next event is one of the more spectacular of all gymnastic competition, the uneven parallel bars. Kathy Krebs will be back to tell you what to watch for in this event right after this message.
Dismounts, either circle or straight line dismounts.
Well, with me, this smiling young lady, go ahead, smile, I knew you would, is Ellen Barrett. She is the state champion in vaulting, and congratulations, Ellen.
Thanks.
Tell us a little about what happened on the first vault first.
Well, my run wasn't very good, and I didn't have a good block, so I didn't get as high as I wanted to, so I fell.
But, you know, you attempted one of the more difficult vaults of the evening, but were you concerned now that when you came back for the second one, did you let it all out, or were you a little conservative on it?
No, I went all the way. I had to do it.
Were you a little frightened?
Yes.
Ellen, you've been competing in gymnastics only 4 years, and of course, that's remarkable in itself. What brought you into it? Were you a little stirred by what you've seen on television in the past years in the Olympics? Olga Korbut, Nadia Comaneci?
Yeah. I liked it, and I wanted to get into it. In 8th grade, I tumbled a little while. And then when I came to high school, I went out for the team, and I was I'm a freshman, I made the team. So,
Okay, well, congratulations again, and I know you're hoping that your Maine East teammates can go ahead and win this state championship.
Thank you.
That was Ellen Barrett from Maine East, and she, of course, is the state champion in vaulting. Well, now, I'm going to ask Kathy to tell us just what the judges will be watching for in the uneven parallel bars competition. That's the event coming up next. Kathy, tell us a little about it.
Well, Rick, in the composition of uneven parallel bars, we have, okay, we're going to do the scoring breakdown here. First of all, we have a category called difficulty. The gymnast must have, is worth 3 points, and she must have 3 superiors, which are valued at 6/10 each for a total of 1.8, and 4 mediums at 3/10 for 1.2. Total category 3.0. Next category, originality, is worth 1.5. In originality, we're looking for something new and unique, a rare move.
Well, how do you find that? I mean, it's got to be difficult to always come up with something new.
Well, it is pretty difficult. We've seen a lot of things that we've seen many times before, but I think tonight we'll see some new combinations also.
Good.
The way that you get from one move to the next. And then the value of composition is worth 5/10. Execution amplitude is worth 4 points.
Okay, we're ready
And
to go with our first
general
performer.
impression is worth 1.0. Our first competitor this evening is Penny PRELLBERG from Deerfield High School,
That's right.
a
Now,
junior.
we saw Penny in the vaulting. This is her second event of the evening. Boy, the long hours these young ladies must put in on these bars.
Takes lots of strength, lots of patience,
And lots of practice.
and lots of repetition. Very nice set. Very few form breaks, execution breaks. Here we come on the replay. We
Tell us
have
a little about what she's doing here.
She just did a straddle over mount to a long hang kip, front hip circle, beat with a full twist on the high bar, beat, straddle over, again to a long hang kip, cast to a sole circle, half turn, wrap the bar to a full twist, drop down to the low bar, glide, kip, catch to the high bar. She's going to kip up to the high bar now, prepare for her dismount. She did a front hip circle, the cast, and this is called a heck dismount with a full twist. Very nice. Slight bobble on the ending though. Her preliminary score was 8.35.
And of course, unlike the vaulting, you only get one chance.
That's right. Some of the things that the judges are looking for when they evaluate the competition for bars is they want to see some frequent bar changes with connections that change grip.
Well, certainly I thought she had that in her routine.
She certainly did. She has a predominance. She should have a predominance of swing movements.
Let's go help those judges. Look at them.
Okay, they're
having a big discussion.
They really are counseling, but they're looking for these things in her routine. Changes between support and hang elements, a change in the direction of the movement, and they should try to avoid stops.
Well, when you talked about a beat, help out a layman like me. When you say a beat, that's not a stop, but what is she doing?
A beat is when she casts her body away from one bar and comes down and wraps her legs around it and brings them back to the other side.
Okay.
As best as I can describe it. She's hitting the bar, beating it.
Well, this is Mary Beth Martensen from Mount Prospect. She's a sophomore in high school. Started in gymnastics when she was 8 years old. Mary Beth Martensen.
Mary Beth Martensen.
Good routine. Flowing. We'll see it on slow motion here. Cast to a handstand mount. Now she'll put her feet on the bars to do a sole circle. Half turn, and that's a beat again we just saw. Long hang kip. Very few form breaks. Form breaks, I mean legs apart, toes not pointed, body not in a straight position.
Well, that looked difficult.
That's called an eagle. And then she pulled herself forward into a front hip circle, seat circle now, front seat circle, kip to the high bar, cast with a straddle hecht dismount with a slight step on the ending, but she managed to recover on that.
Now this 8.8 for Penny Prellberg, the first competitor. An excellent score. Penny Prellberg had an 8.8.
And that's an improvement of 0.5 from her preliminary score, which she scored 8.35.
Now we have the young lady who was second in vaulting, Laurie Erickson, the sophomore from Palatine. She now goes to the uneven parallel bars.
Very nice. Clean.
Well, I think she likes it. She had a few tears on her face earlier this evening, but not now.
She did an unusual amount, half turn to a kip under the low bar to the high bar. She cast up for a pirouette, that's a handstand, and then came down to a beat on the low bar. Kip to the high bar, again a sole circle. The half turn this time, the opposite way. We haven't seen that yet. Front hip circle, cast again, a pirouette. Handstand right through the handstand position to her dismount, which is again a hecht.
Laurie Erickson, a young lady that's been a gymnast since she was 5 years old, now a sophomore at Palatine.
8.35.
Well, Mary Beth Martensen had an 8.35 score. Of course, Penny Prellberg, the first competitor, was 8.8. We're waiting still, of course, for the score for Laurie Erickson. Our next competitor, ALISSA BERRESSE from Joliet Catholic, St. Francis. ALISSA BERRESSE.
Our next performer,
Alyssa's coach is Ruth Darrow. Her preliminary score was 7.75.
ALISSA BERRESSE from Joliet Catholic.
Rick, let's take a look at the slow motion replay here, starting out in slow motion.
And Kathy, before you go on, I must point out that this young lady is a freshman. She's the only freshman we have in this competition this evening in the uneven parallel bars.
Very strong young lady for a freshman. She has a few execution errors. Those are faults in performing skills and a few errors in her form.
But certainly those are things she'll learn. Right?
Yeah, first part of her routine, she does move along quite smoothly. There's a break with her legs apart, a little too early. Back seat circle on the low bar. And that's called a sandwich. To catch the high bar, cast, wrap the low bar, hect, dismount.
We see these. We're going to have Erickson score in just a moment. Laurie Erickson, there it is, an 8.9, and that puts her in first place after 3 competitors in the parallel bars. You know, we see these freshmen and sophomores, and certainly we had more young ladies in gymnastics than you can never remember this many when you were coming through high school and college, can you?
Well, there wasn't anything to motivate them to work this hard to get to a state meet.
Well, that's important, to have the programs, to have the competition.
That's correct. Coming up now, Lori Morgan from Thorn Ridge High School in Dalton, Illinois.
Another sophomore. Another young sophomore. Laurie Morgan, Thorn Ridge High School, a sophomore.
Okay.
Let's take another look at it, Kathy.
She did a stoop over the low bar, cast out, wrap the bar, full twist, drop, glide, shoot through, drop, glide, kip to the high bar.
How much will she be penalized for falling at the end? I mean,
if she falls and supports her weight on any part of her body, it's a 5/10 deduction. If it's just a touch of a hand or a knee on the floor, it's a 3/10 deduction. Watch this dismount coming up.
That's where the problem
Very
is.
unusual. It's a forward sole circle, push off the bar,
wow.
Front somersault, and she did support her weight
on some part of her body.
That's right. 5/10 deduction for falling.
That's the part we've all got there to support our weight.
Our next performer, HERSEY High School.
That was Laurie Morgan. And now we come up with Mary Charpentier. She's a senior from Arlington Heights. Mary Charpentier from Hersey High School.
Preliminary score, 8.5. Okay, here we come on the replay. Half turn, kip to the high bar, beat the low bar, straddle over, long hang, double leg shoot through, kip position, dislocate. Switch her hands for hip circle, sole circle to an eagle, cast, wrap, hecht with a full.
Oh, a little unusual dismount, but she didn't quite get her body around, apparently.
That's right.
Well, we'll have the score for Mary Charpentier from the judges right after this commercial message.
Just be in position and ready.
Well, we're back again in our next competitor, Tracy Moore of Palatine Frem, and this young lady, of course, finished third already this evening in the championships for vaulting. We have 3 previous scores to announce while we watch Tracy go into her routine. We had ALISSA BERRESSE of Joliet Catholic in 8.1, Mary Charpentier of Hersey High School 8.5, and I think Kathy Laurie Morgan was
7.3.
7.3. So still the leader with an 8.9 is Laurie ERICKSON from Palatine. This is Tracy Moore. It was an unusual little jump step she did off the bottom bar, wasn't it?
I think she surprised herself. She got pretty high off on her hecht and started her twist, but forgot where she was.
Okay, let's take a look at it again. It's quite an opening, too.
Different mount, sole circle to catch the high bar.
Tracy's just a junior at Palatine Frem. She's been in gymnastics 6 years.
So far, very clean routine. Very few form breaks. Jump, pirouette around the high bar, wrap the low bar. She got pretty good height. Started her twist slightly early with her arms away from her body, which threw her rotation off.
Well, we're nearing the completion. We have 1 or 2 or 3 competitors yet. And right after the scoring of the last participant in the uneven parallel has been judged by the IHSA judges, the officials will be handing out the medals to the champions. It's something you won't want to miss. Also, before we get started on the balance beam event, you want to know who the all-around champions of the tournament are, and we'll watch them receive their awards. Those all-around points were accumulated on Friday.
Rick, our next competitor is Gayle Johnson from Arlington High School. Joanne Murdoch, her coach. Preliminary score 8.6.
And Gayle is a senior. I don't think she wanted to do that, did she?
No, she didn't.
It just didn't quite get up. Gayle actually is a little unusual, I would think. When you look at some of the backgrounds on these girls, she really didn't start competing until she was 13 years old, and I think that's a pretty good, wouldn't you consider that a pretty late start for competitive gymnastics?
Yeah, I would consider that pretty late. Most gymnasts start about age 9. She was going to cast up to a handstand on the high bar and didn't quite get enough cast in her body and had to drop down.
A little like a pole vaulter, she just didn't get up there.
Right. She has a few stops and several form breaks, and most of these are due to execution errors. Things she's doing incorrectly in performing the tricks. There she bends her knees quite a lot. Probably a 3/10 deduction.
Our next performer.
She composes herself fairly well, though. Once she's made a mistake, she keeps going. And a flyaway dismount.
Well, this is WGN Television, Channel 9, and we're very happy and proud to be bringing you this first Girls Gymnastics State Championship. And now we have a very popular performer here in the gymnasium, a very talented one, Donna Mancini.
Sole circle, drop down, kip, catch. Another sole circle, beat the low bar, back uprise to front support position, sole circle half turn, preparing for a dismount, hecht. She didn't quite have enough height on that dismount, and that's why she fell forward just a little bit.
Well, this is a look at that leaderboard, of course, and Laurie ERICKSON and her fans hoping she can hold on with that 8.9 score that puts her on top.
uneven parallel bars.
We have only one other competitor. This is Kathy Bafus of Maine East High School, also a senior. The final competitor in the uneven parallel bars this evening. Kathy Bafus, Maine East High School.
Here comes with the, here we come with the replay. Another jump kip to the high bar. Free hip circle, shoot, wrapped low bar with a full twist. Uprise to the high bar. There's a couple of pauses there, a couple of form breaks. Drop down to the low bar, front hip circle, push away, glide, kip, catch to the high bar. Kip again to the high bar, preparing for her dismount, which was rather low. She had to bend her legs to get off the bar.
Okay, next we'll be covering 2 award ceremonies. First, we'll have the winner and the runners-up in the uneven parallel bars portion. And following that, the Illinois High School Association official will be awarding trophies to the all-around tournament champions. We'll get started right after this. We're back at Maine East High School, and those final scores that the judges posted while we were away. We had an 8.5 for Ellen Barrett of Maine East and a 7.85 for Kathy Bafus of Maine East. And I think we gave you the 8.45 for Michelle Menenghetti, and that completes the uneven parallel bar competition. It also means, Kathy, that the sophomore, the talented sophomore that we were told to expect to watch for, the girl that we thought would be very competitive this evening, Laurie Erickson, is the state champion in the uneven parallel bars, and that's quite an achievement for a sophomore.
It sure is for a sophomore. And
Okay, we have
how many years has she been competing?
Well, she's been in gymnastics 10 years.
Okay.
Well, now it's time for us to give recognition to the winners of the competition in this uneven parallel bars competition. So let's join Dr. Nicholas Manos for the awards.
The Board of Directors of the Illinois High School Association.
Dr. Manos, Kathy, is a principal of Niles West High School
with a
in
score
Skokie, and he's also on the IHSA Board of Directors.
Michelle
Menenghetti.
This is the 6th place winner, Michelle Menenghetti of Thornton of Harvey. We had and I think we have a tie for 5th between 2 young ladies.
8.5, Maine East High School, Ellen Barrett.
Ellen Barrett.
Arlington Heights, HERSEY.
And she will be tied with Mary Charpentier from HERSEY High School.
Correct.
These 2 girls share 4th and 5th.
In 3rd place, with a score of 8.75 from Friend High School, Palatine, Tracy Moore.
Well, there's Tracy Moore from Friend. She's the 3rd place finisher.
In 2nd place, with a score of 8.8 from
This
Deerfield
is the
High
young
School,
lady which, Penny led off the competition. Penny, 8.8 on the first routine. Is that sometimes an advantage or a disadvantage to be number 1 when you lead?
Well, many people think it's a disadvantage to lead, but the judges do confer after the first routine to make sure that they're not too severe on the first individual.
I recall that they did, yes. I recall that they did on her. Well, there's Laurie Erickson. She's your state champion. She looked a little tearful when she got 2nd in vaulting, but she looks a little happier now. Laurie Erickson.
They all look pretty happy.
Yes, they do.
And they should be very proud of their accomplishments.
I want to keep these 2. They're the state champions, you know.
Mm-hmm.
Well, in the competition here yesterday, a panel of judges selected the best all-around gymnast in the meet, and the winners are now going to receive their medals. To make the presentations, Dr. Joseph Sergio.
Very shortly then, ladies
What
and
was this?
gentlemen, we will be also making
What was this you handed
the
me?
presentation of the all-around competition, which was completed
Okay,
yesterday.
We finally have the
This
young lady over
presentation
here, and she's got a smile on her face. Laura Erickson. Congratulations, young lady. You looked a little upset after you got second in the vaulting. I couldn't tell whether you were laughing because you were happy. You were happy.
Yeah, I was happy. I did my normal vault.
And of course, you did. Well, you tell us about this uneven parallel competition. Did it go just exactly as you thought it might?
I was hoping it, like yesterday I fell off, and so I was hoping it'd go better.
In the all-around competition yesterday, you fell off in the uneven parallel bars?
Yeah.
But you did the same thing. You didn't change a thing.
No, I did the same routine.
How do you feel about this gymnastics? Would you like to continue now and perhaps compete through your last 2 years in high school and on in college and maybe try for the United States Olympic team?
Well, I don't know about the Olympic team yet. I haven't really thought of it, but I don't know. I'm going to compete the next 2 years for sure in college, and I know. But
Well, I'll tell you, we're going to say goodbye to you now because the people here in the gymnasium are going to see you receive another award. So congratulations, Laura Erickson.
thank you.
You bet. The reason Lori is leaving us now, and the reason we were a little confused, we're giving 2 awards here at once at this time in the state high school meet. And Lori, through yesterday's competition, Kathy,
Okay, and we are now ready for the presentation.
won the all-around championship. She is the state champion of Illinois, and not only the parallel bars, which we just saw, but in the all-around competition yesterday. And I think I've explained that right.
That's right. Her cumulative scores from vaulting, uneven parallel bars, balance beam, and floor exercise were totaled together to give her an average of 34.05.
Well, now we have Dr. Joseph Sergio, and he will be making that award
Sixth place.
to the 6 winners in the all-around. And of course, he'll probably start with the 6th place winner. These are the top 5 on the monitor. This is what Lori did yesterday. She competed, actually, they had 2 sessions, and she competed last night. And as you can see, she scored an 8.51, and that included all 4 of these events.
That's right. That's an average score. Her total point total was 34.05.
Prospect, Mary Beth Martensen.
This is the 5th place winner, Mary Beth Martensen.
7.91 average.
In 4th place with an all-around average
The happy young lady.
7.97.
From Maine East High School, Donna Mancini.
Just tenths of points separate these girls from 1 through 6 place.
That's right. Penny PRELLBERG, for example, her average 8.03. Donna Mancini was a 7.97.
Average of 8.36.
From Friend High School,
Tracy Moore.
Tracy Moore, 8.36. She's the runner-up in the all-around competition. And soon we'll see the
and our
young lady who we interviewed just a moment ago and had to be hustled away so she could go up and get more hardware put around her neck.
I didn't think she minded at all being hustled away.
That's for sure. Laurie Erickson. I think we may see more of her in the state meet in 2 years. She's only a sophomore. We have her next year and the year after.
All-around girls.
Well, next we have the balance beam, and we're going to be explaining some of the finer points of that competition. Kathy will, as soon as we return after this message. Okay, Kathy, we'd like to have you fill us in now on the most important things we have to watch for in the balance beam competition, because so many people have seen it in the Olympics, but it's not really explained sometimes what we should be watching for as far as excellence is concerned. So tell us a little about it. You're a judge.
Well, the composition, back with the score sheet again, with the 3 points of difficulty, originality, the composition, technical execution, and amplitude. The judges are looking for elements of balance, both standing and inverted and supported by the hands. They're looking for turns and pivots, leaps, jumps, and hops.
So as we can see, though, the 4 points for technical excellence and amplitude and the 3 points for difficulty, that really comprises a lot. You're only talking about 10 points.
That's right. A major part of the scoring is the technical execution and the amplitude part, and also originality and value of the composition plays a heavy part in the scoring.
Well, this is the beam. This is it, right? There it is.
4 inches wide we have, and 47 1/4 inches from the floor, and it's 16 feet 4 inches long.
I wonder sometimes how they do all those things on such a small...
And such a hard piece of apparatus. It's made of laminated wood, an on-padded beam we're using this evening. The mats underneath the balance beam are called landing mats, and they're used to protect the performer in case she does fall off the beam. You have very little to hold on to or to prevent yourself from getting hurt when you do fall, and these mats do cushion the fall quite a bit.
There's a young lady we've seen earlier tonight, and actually this is her 3rd event of the evening, Mary Charpentier from HERSEY High School, and she will be the first competitor on the balance beam.
Each routine needs to have a mount and a dismount. Aerial cartwheel. Very difficult on 4 inches.
I can see why they call it balance beam. Look at that.
The gymnasts are supposed to intertwine dance movements with tumbling movements so that they look like they are on the floor.
Mary began her gymnastics activity when she was 10 years old. She's now 17.
Valdez coming up.
Just a slight
bobble.
Yeah.
Full turn.
Well, you know, maybe this is a silly question, but you know, you do floor exercises with music, and they are supposed to use ballet on the balance beam. I'm surprised that I would wonder if maybe they wouldn't use music when they do their balance beam routine.
Well, I don't think that would really add to it that much, but we just saw a handstand straddle down to a Valdez. A handstand straddle down takes quite a bit of strength, and the Valdez takes quite a bit of coordination to make sure she places her hand back on the beam when she rotates backwards. Again, the judges are looking for rhythmical movements.
Yes.
Things that flow together, that combine well with her tumbling on the beam.
Well, she's happy. Look at her face.
Yes, she is.
I think a competitor knows.
Yes, they know when they've done a good job and when they haven't. If their routine moves slowly, they aren't very pleased with themselves. If they bobble a lot, they're again trying to correct that all the time that they're up there. They have a little more time to concentrate when they're on their balance beam, whereas bars moves very quickly, and vaulting also moves very quickly. Beam, you can correct some of your mistakes as you go along.
Hopefully. Well, Kathy, we now have a girl approaching the beam, preparing for her performance. We've seen only Chicago suburban schools represented here this evening, I think, unless I've missed any. And we have a young lady now from Moline.
Lisa Atkins. Donna Kramer is her coach, and she had an 8.1 average in the preliminaries.
Our next performer will be from
She started gymnastics when she was 8 years old.
That's right. She's now a senior.
Not
at
a bad
Moline.
age to start.
Senior at Moline High School.
We're waiting for her mount, waiting for the flag. There it is. 2 back walkovers in a row. Pirouette. The judges are looking for high leaps. And the term they use is called amplitude. And there's a flip-flop on the beam. We haven't seen that this evening. 2 flip-flops in a row. Very difficult element.
And that's all part of the scoring. I think we said 3 points for the difficulty.
Originality and value of the combinations.
Oh, that's right. Lisa Atkins of Moline. She was the second competitor. Let's take a look at it now on the replay, Kathy.
Okay, we're looking at some of her dance moves in preparation for her flip-flops. And you're right, whoop, there she had a few form breaks, but these do count into her difficulty. She needs 3 superior moves. It's quite a spectacular move to do, but she did have some execution errors. Bent arms, bent legs. Her legs were pretty far apart, but she managed to stay on.
Well,
and that's what counts.
I told you judges are tough. The poor girl's got to bend her arms and legs.
And a pike front somersault off the end of the beam.
Well, that was Lisa Atkins of Moline. And we had a score on Mary Charpentier from Hersey of 9.15, the opening score in this competition, a 9.15. That's a pretty
Quite
high score.
Quite a high score.
And of course, you all recognize this young lady. This is Laurie Erickson of Palatine. Already, she has 2 state championships in front of her name.
She's beginning with a difficult mount, a press to a handstand, straddle, and then cartwheel out. Stag handstand to a front walkover.
I thought she was gone.
Judges like to see something that will...
A little danger?
Yeah, wake them up a little bit. And there, they probably didn't know if she's going to sit down or fall down.
I've had that problem. She got quite a score to have to beat, a 9.15. Laurie Erickson at Palatine High School.
I hope we can take a look at the dismount, which is kind of an unusual dismount.
Let's watch the whole thing again. Let's take another look at Laurie Erickson. Already?
There's that element where she sat down. Now Valdez, back walkover, or back Tinsica rather.
Back what?
Tinsica.
Okay.
Different hand placement. Hands are separated, one in front of the other. Full turn. Change in the rhythm in her dance. And her pike gainer dismount. It's a back somersault, but actually she takes a step forward before she does the back somersault. Tracy Moore is our next competitor from FREND High School, a junior. Her preliminary score was 8.75.
And interestingly enough, already this evening, Tracy has finished third in 2 events, in both vaulting and the uneven parallel bars.
Yes. Coming up now, Tracy Moore. Squat through to a V.
Look, Kathy, I can see how, at least when this is the only event going on, they can concentrate, and it does take such concentration. I'm always amazed that these young ladies and the men can be doing this kind of giving this kind of performance while nearby the music and the floor exercise is going on with another competitor. But yet it doesn't seem to bother them. They concentrate so much.
Actually, Rick, many competitors think it's an advantage to have a lot of noise in the gym, a lot of things going on, because then they don't feel that they have 10,000 people watching them.
But right now, of course, we're the only two people talking in the whole gymnasium. This is Tracy Moore from Friend High School. She's a junior.
That was close, Rick, because the bell just rang. As she completed her back handspring, she had 5 seconds to dismount. She wanted to stick her back handspring before she had to dismount.
Well, can they hear the bell? I mean,
they can hear the bell, and that's their signal. They only have 5 seconds once the first signal begins to end their routine.
Well, now here's some interesting information. While we watch Tracy Moore on the replay, Laurie Erickson was scored 9.0, which means that she trails Mary Charpentier. She places behind her, and Mary had a 9.15, so Laurie Erickson will not be the state champion in the balance beam.
Correct.
But she may be second.
We just saw her back handspring. She stopped momentarily to make sure that she stayed on the beam, and then she went into her dismount.
Okay, there's the leaderboard. After 4 competitors, we have the scores on 3, Mary Charpentier, and then we have Laurie Erickson, and third with an 8.4 score, which I don't think we gave, Lisa Atkins of Moline. So to recap it again, Charpentier 9.15, Erickson 9.0, Atkins 8.4, and this is Penny PRELLBERG, a familiar face, a young lady from Deerfield High School.
Rick, the routines are supposed to be from 1 minute 15 seconds to 1 minute 35 seconds, and the warning bell rings at 1 minute 30.
And they're not? Are they penalized for cutting it short? I mean, obviously they have to finish.
Yes, they are.
Penny PRELLBERG.
Competitors are doing quite well this evening. We haven't seen any falls yet.
I know they're nervous.
Yes, they are.
You know, as we watch Penny, this is the state championship now. This is we're in the middle of the winter. Will these girls continue to compete in club activity now through the spring, and what do they do during the summer? Because it looks as if this is a sport which would almost demand constant practice.
Many of the gymnasts go, if they are club gymnasts, go back to the clubs and continue working out. If they're just competing for their high schools, they might take a little time off, go back to their, some area where they could work out, whether it's a club or a YMCA. And then in the summertime, a lot of them attend camps where they will work on new gymnastic skills.
Oops. Well, because we've all watched the Olympics now, and particularly in the last 3 Olympiads, we've seen such great names, and they all come from the Middle European countries, and the United States people, while they keep trying, have a tough time cracking in. There was a slip for Penny PRELLBERG, unfortunately.
Fall on her aerial cartwheel.
But it would have seemed that it would take almost constant dedication for the young people
to bring our gymnasts up to the level of international competition.
It takes an overall national effort, really, to form a group of people that would be a threat to any of the European countries.
And I think a well-financed effort, too, is what you're talking about, because it takes a lot of money.
It certainly does. Many of these gymnasts have to finance themselves. We just saw a slight bobble on a leap that she did on the replay.
This is Penny
Now
PRELLBERG.
she's going to do an aerial cartwheel. Her legs went around to the side, and she then had a hard time keeping her body on
Now, if she'd
top.
have saved the fall, even though as awkward as it looked, would it save some points also?
Yes, she would have only probably been deducted 0.3 of a point as opposed to 0.5 of a point for fall. So save 0.2.
Well, our next competitor, Shelley Seifer from Glenbrook North High School. There's that mean-looking beam again. Shelley Seifer.
Most competitors spend more time practicing on the balance beam than they do any other apparatus.
Because of the difficulty.
That's right, of staying on. See, we're going to have another judges conference.
They want they can ride on the beam, see.
Well, it gives them an opportunity to make sure that they're all looking for the same things. That
Yes,
somebody hasn't gone off base or gone too high or too low.
Well, as we said, this balance beam competition is very exacting, and all of the girls are trying to win the designation as the best in the state. We'll see the champion and the runner-up receive their medals just as soon as all of these participants have performed. And, boy, would I like to have a little hidden microphone in there right now.
Well, I don't think it's too heated, but we can see pencils flying. We see judges exchanging comments on what they felt.
Exchange of ideas, we call that.
Good aspects of the routine and poor aspects of a routine. The meet referee again is in there to make sure that the conference goes quickly and that they arrive at a score without too much haggling.
And the audience is restless. As Shelley Seifer, and I think I'm pronouncing that right, Shelley Seifer from Glenbrook North High School.
Correct.
I think compete in the vaulting or the uneven parallel bars, so this will be the first we've seen her this evening.
Shelley's preliminary score was 7.9, and her coach is Vicki Long. The judges are in their place now. They're waiting for the green flag from the superior judge, who signals the gymnasts when the judges are ready. And the flag is up. Sounds like a car race.
No, it sounds like a horse race. The audience has been very appreciative here this evening, and
they certainly have. They're a little restless between performers, but they are giving good cooperation to the performers. Stag handstand. Forward walkover. There we can see how she's trying to hold on to the beam with her toes. Very essential to grip the edges of the beam with your toes. That does help you stay on. A few body movements to try to keep on. Again, another view of the beam. It's called a tick-tock, a forward walkover to a backward walkover.
Would you say this is a difficult routine that she's attempting?
Well, the skills included in it don't indicate that it's extremely difficult, but she did have some good dance combinations, and it did seem to move along a little more smoothly than some of the other routines.
Well, the judges will have the score on Shelley, and we'll take a look at it right after this message. We're back again, and this is a replay of Shelley Seifer from Glenbrook North as she competes on the balance beam. She was the 6th competitor here. That means, she's the 6th competitor. We're half finished in this balance beam competition. Still to come tonight, of course, the floor exercises.
That was the tick-tock I was talking about earlier. Front
like that,
walkover,
don't you?
stop, back walkover. And a front somersault in the pike position, dismount. Next competitor is Sherry Klein from Addison Trail High School, a sophomore. Darlene Galligan is her coach, and she had a preliminary score of 7.85.
And this is the first we've seen of Sherry tonight, and I might comment, yesterday I was watching Sherry on the balance beam, and she slipped and she fell, and she was in tears, obviously, because it cost her. But she was able to qualify. She's here tonight.
One arm forward walkover. Back walkover to a flip-flop. Slight bobble there to stay on.
She's only a sophomore at Addison Trail High School.
Side handstand, cartwheel out. Sherry's routine could move just a little faster. It's a little slow. I think she's worried about
Falling.
staying on the beam. It's embarrassing to fall, and it costs 5/10 off of your score.
I would think even more than the 5/10 is what it might do to your confidence while you're competing.
That's right. You have to. Oh, very nice aerial front walkover. Oh.
I think that's where she fell yesterday,
Yeah.
but I think she wanted to keep that movement into her performance.
She managed to stay on for quite a long time. The bell rang, and there's her dismount.
That's Sherry Klein, sophomore from Addison Trail High School.
Now on the replay again.
A few dance movements.
We've been asked
We're coming up, I believe, to the aerial walkover.
Very difficult move even to do on the floor. She had one foot on and one foot was half off and finally took the toll.
Well, there's the leaderboard, and as you can see, Mary Charpentier and Laura Erickson ranked 1 and 2. We have some other scores that we haven't been able to bring you up to date on. Now, Tracy Moore had an 8.7. That moved her up into 3rd position. Already this evening, she's finished 3rd in two other events. I don't have the score yet on Penny PRELLBERG, I don't think. Nor do we have the score on Shelley Seifer. And we still have to get the score. The judges are running about 2 competitors behind us. Here's the score now on Penny PRELLBERG. She had a 7.8, the young lady from Deerfield. And Shelley Seifer, an 8.1. So Sherry Klein has just finished her competition. And we now have Carrie Grigo from Elgin High School. Elgin High School, a senior, and this is the first we've seen of Carrie this evening.
Carrie's preliminary score was 7.9. And
Unfortunate early.
it's a fall.
Kathy just marked a 0.5 down on her
I'm
sheet.
acting like a judge
that's
here.
Her old judge's habits. Just out of habit, you went down to the paper.
I know,
with a
I've been
0.5.
writing a few things here and then suddenly just stick this 5/10 on there like I'm going to add it up to score later.
Carrie Grigo's a senior. She's coached out in Elgin by Lorraine Conway and Ken Bates. Do some of the schools in Illinois now have, they're not allowed to have volunteer coaches, but are they usually coaches that are paid a differential, like the basketball coach and the football coach? They're full-time gymnastics coaches in the girls' sport?
The coaches of these girls are instructors in their respective high schools, and their individual school boards, along with their associations, teachers' associations, have set up stipends for the coaches, and they do differ from sport to sport.
Yeah.
Nice dismount.
Well, she was, she's smiling because she knows there's nothing she can do about it now.
Yes.
She had a tough time.
But she managed after the
Yes.
fall to get back up and stay
Yes,
on
she
the
did.
beam throughout the rest of the routine, which is important. Some people get very shook and can't continue. And that was a handstand with a half turn that she fell on.
It's 8.0.
Well, we had an 8.0 score for Sherry Klein,
Our next
young lady from Addison Trails.
Balance beam from Naperville North,
Which is a pretty good score, considering that she fell off the beam.
Yes.
Considering you took that
Well, if
0.5
you-
away from her
that's
score.
right, and that would have been an 8.5.
That's right.
And here's that dismount. Nice, high, tight pike front somersault. We haven't seen one that high yet.
That was Carrie Grigo from Elgin High School.
There's a picture of one of the judges making her calculations.
She's not smiling either.
Well, it's a tough process.
Yes, it is.
You have
And
all those
they're very
cate-
very responsible judges. Now, this is a young lady who's a freshman at Naperville North, Linda Bodie.
Again, she's coached by Linda Hawkins and Tony Rizzuto. Her preliminary score, 7.95. She's waiting with great anticipation
Yes, she
for
is.
the
She looks a
green
little
flag.
frightened. Where's that flag?
Yeah.
Well, she's probably doesn't realize that the judges are still
Beg your pardon. Linda Bodie.
Correction on her name pronunciation.
Linda Bodie.
Back walkover. Nice extension of the legs. She managed to save that even though she had some execution errors.
It is interesting to notice that the pacing of some of the performances is so much different from one girl to the next.
Well, it depends on the size of the girl and the nature of the girl.
And each does the best what she thinks she can
Right.
perform.
When she composes her dance, she has a certain mood or tempo in mind, and that reflects how she interprets.
Well, I would think
Dance.
as a coach, Kathy, and your fellow coaches, you have to probably look at each girl as such an individual and try to mold their routine just for them and their talents.
Each routine is specifically made up for each girl. There's no way you could possibly take one routine and fit it to another girl.
That was Linda Bodie, a freshman from Naperville North High School. Let's take a look at her again on the beam.
She has a great future ahead of her as a
She does.
freshman.
Carrie Grigo, 6.65.
One arm, forearm cartwheel, which is a superior element. Pretty dance. And she has nice long legs, which is really pleasing to watch.
Correction, 6.55.
Taller gymnasts sometimes are at a disadvantage in performing, but they are pleasing to watch because they have such extension of the body. She had a pike front dismount.
Well, the judges have announced that the young lady from Elgin, Carrie Grigo, who had a little trouble, came off the beam, was scored at 6.55. And as we told you, Sherry Klein was 8.0.
Coming up next, Donna Wazalewski from Arlington High School.
She's the 10th competitor. We have 12. Only 3 more in this competition. Mary Charpentier, who competed first, is still the leader.
Next performer,
Donna's a sophomore.
high school.
She's been in gymnastics since she was 11.
Now, this has to be encouraging to see so many young competitors, the sophomores and the freshmen,
They all have great futures ahead of them, and
if they choose to stay in it.
That's
It
right.
is so demanding.
it is demanding. By this time of the season, many people are very, very tired. Donna's working pretty smoothly, has nice rhythm changes. Has good form. Covered that up very nicely. Side handstand again with the leg variation. Cartwheel out. Donna has a nice, tight body. She's not loose in any part of her body. Everything is staying in line. She just did a flip-flop. The slight mistake. And a little, kind of a low pike front dismount, but overall she had a very nice routine.
Donna Wasilewski from Arlington High School, just a sophomore.
Here's a handstand that we saw before, cartwheel out, and a full turn, a requirement in the composition of a balance beam routine.
Linda Bodie from Naperville North was just scored by the judges at 8.15.
Here we come with a flip-flop. Legs were nice and straight, unlike a competitor earlier this evening who had bent legs and bent arms, and you could see how she went downward drastically on her dismount.
There's that leaderboard again. Mary Charpentier, Laura Erickson, Tracy Moore. Linda Bodie is now moved into 5th position. And we have 2 performers yet. Mary Beth Martensen from Mount Prospect, who will be up next. And the final performer will be Maine East's Donna Mancini. Now we have Mary Beth Martensen, another sophomore.
From Prospect High School,
Yes,
Susan Lee Nelson is her coach, and Jenny Lazaris is the assistant.
Mary Beth finished 5th, incidentally, in the all-around competition yesterday. She was on the awards, in the awards presentation tonight. Earlier this evening, she finished 7th in the uneven parallel bar competition. Laura, if all these sophomores stay with gymnastics, I can see a very competitive state meet 2 years from now.
That's right.
But they're all going to be chasing Laura Erickson, it looks like, right now. But you never know how the performer might develop.
No, and some performers level off for a certain amount of time, and then they start learning lots of new things. And some performers, while they're in the level off period, other people pass them up.
She's a tall young lady, and again, she has the look that you were talking about.
Extension of...
Whoops.
But there weren't
I jinxed
no
her.
extension of the legs there.
And that's the difficulty they have.
Right. She's really doing a nice job with her dance. She's not keeping it too close to her body. She's letting everybody see what she can do.
Oh.
Overall, not a very bad routine. It was pretty good, including a fall. You'll have to remember that and add that to what her score is when we see it.
Well, she had a big smile when she
Here's a
finished.
flip-flop, and legs were out to the side. That was her problem. She bent at the waist just a little bit. Her legs bent and could not pull herself back on top of the beam.
Well, at that point, what else can you do but smile, you know?
Right. She had a nice smile. She got back up, composed herself, and continued on with her routine, which is the most important thing. Can't get too shook just because of a little fall.
Well, that's Mary Beth Martensen, Mount Prospect. And we have one performer to come, Donna Mancini.
Maine East High School.
That's right. She finished, where did Donna? Well, she finished down the list a little bit. 9th in the uneven parallel bar competition.
Well, her
And she finished 4th all around. Excuse me, she finished 4th all around. And this is Donna.
Her preliminary score was 8.25.
In reference to the score, it seems to be completed at this point.
We should see some
Now, our final
good tumbling in this routine.
Yeah, she began when she was 7 years old as a tumbler, and then she actually didn't get into the other parts of gymnastics, the competition, until only 4 years ago. But
Right.
perhaps she was in one of those little tiny tot tumbling classes that we see.
They do develop quite rapidly if they've been in the Tiny Tot program.
I see what you mean about those toes. They reach down and grab that beam.
Yeah, earlier I was looking through one of the cameraman's cameras real close up, and you could see how tight they do try to grip the beam with their toes. Back extension roll. Backward roll, shoot your legs straight up to the handstand position. One arm firm cartwheel. That's a gainer flip-flop. Actually, she goes off, jumps off of one foot, executing the move, and out to greet her is her coach, Betty Axelson.
That's right. Betty's been pretty busy between her girls and the running of this meet. This is the repeat, yes.
Side handstand, step down. Far arm cartwheel.
Well, you lose it if you can't tighten it.
Again, variation in her dance, and that's the gainer flip-flop I was talking about. Watch how there she goes off of 2 feet, but the other one she went off of 1 foot to a pike or tuck back somersault.
Okay, Kathy, it's just about time now for the balance beam winners to receive their medals. We'll be switching out to the floor to cover the presentations, but first, this message. Well, we're back again at Maine East High School, and we've just finished the 3rd event tonight, the balance beam competition. And the state champion in this event, Mary Charpentier from Hersey High School in Arlington Heights. And we have still the music. Now we have the floor exercises coming up next after this award ceremony. And what do you think so far? We've had some pretty good competition.
I think the competition has been terrific. I really didn't know what to expect, but I didn't think the skill level would be this high. It surprised me, and I think that there's a great future for girls gymnastics in Illinois.
You would think that.
Oh, yes. Not a very biased opinion, would you say?
No, but I happen to agree. You know, we didn't know what to expect when Channel 9 took on televising this. We didn't know how good the competition would be, and I'm sure many of the viewers who have tuned in tonight perhaps we're a little wondering what level of competition, because after all, we're a little spoiled in the United States. We watch Nadia Comaneci and Olga Korbut, but these young ladies have conducted themselves very well, I think.
Yeah, we've been trying to compare gymnastics with the Europeans, and now we're going to see what we do here locally.
Okay, thank you, Kathy. And the big moment has arrived for the balance beam champions, so let's join Miss Barbara Bovenmeyer for the medals presentations.
8.40 for Moline High
Barbara,
School.
incidentally, who will make these presentations, is the girls sports coordinator at Maine Township East High School. She has served as the meet manager for the state finals competition.
In 4th place with a score of 8.5.
Okay,
From Arlington High School, Donna Wasilewski.
Donna Wasilewski
yeah, she was
is
4th.
4th place,
Donna Mancini,
8.5.
Donna Mancini was 6th with an 8.35. Lisa Atkins of Moline was 5th. Then we had Donna Wasilewski, and now in 3rd place.
Brent High School.
Can you believe this? Tracy Moore has just won her third place. She's been 3rd in every event tonight. Tracy Moore of Friend High School in Palatine. That's quite an accomplishment. She's been right there, very consistent.
That's right.
2nd place.
Her all-around average must be
Score of 9.
Well,
right
she
up
finished
there.
2nd in all
Yeah.
around. She finished 2nd in all
So
around.
that does indicate why she's continuing to win medals here.
Well, the 2nd place finisher with a 9.0 score was Lori Erickson of Palatine, who, of course, had won the state championship in the uneven parallel bars. There's Lori.
Balance beam champion with a score of 9.15 from Hersey High School, Mary Charpentier.
Mary Charpentier from Hersey High School, Arlington Heights, the state champion in the balance beam. So we've had 3 state champions crowned here tonight. Mary Charpentier, Ellen Barrett, and Lori Erickson has won 2 titles.
Outstanding.
Well, the upcoming floor exercise is an event, it's my favorite. It's the event that tests many of the skills of the competitors. Kathy Krebs will return to tell you more about it right after this message.
Okay, Sue. Good luck with your exams.
Thanks, Daddy. Let me talk to Richie, okay?
Hi, Klutz.
Hi, weirdo.
How's Cindy Borick? I hate Cindy Borick.
That's not what I heard.
Keep in touch by long distance. By dialing direct and calling after 5 p.m. weekdays, you can save up to 35%.
Well, anyway, say goodbye to Mom and Dad. And Richie, I miss you.
I miss you too. Klutz.
Evening long distance, one of the few real bargains left.
Sam, I wanted a diet soft drink.
That's what I got you, Alice.
Sam, this tastes too good.
It's supposed to, Alice.
Sam, this tastes fattening.
It tastes too good to be true. It's sugar-free Dr. Pepper.
Sugar-free Dr. Pepper.
It tastes too good to be true. It doesn't taste like a diet soft drink. It tastes too good to be true.
This laughing lady over my shoulder, she's not really taller than me. She's standing on something. Mary Charpentier, congratulations, the state championship.
Thank you.
You were the first competitor. Did that bother you a little bit to have to be the first one out there?
Yes, it does. I like to go after the other competitions so I can kind of tell what I have to do. I kind of like a little bit more pressure on the beat. So.
What about it, Kathy?
Mary, could you tell us how many hours a day that you work out so our viewers know just how much work you put into this?
Okay, I work out about anywhere from 2 to 4 hours every day. So.
How much time do you spend on balance beam?
Well, I usually like to warm up on the beam. It's a good warm up for me, and I usually go back when I'm resting on other events. So I kind of have extra time on the beam.
Well, sir, I'm sorry. Go ahead, Kathy.
Would you say about an hour every day?
Right. At least.
Right.
Well, certainly our congratulations. You finished 4th in the uneven parallel bar competition, and now, as a senior, you had to really be looking forward to the state championship, and nice going.
Thank you very much.
Okay, Mary. You bet.
Okay, we're on to floor exercise. Floor exercise is tumbling movements combined with dance movements, and everything's set to music. This is our final event this evening. The same type of scoring breakdown is used on floor exercises every other event. They need to have mediums and superiors. They need to show some originality. They have to fulfill requirements in their composition, and they must try to avoid form breaks and execution errors.
Other than that, they don't have to worry about anything.
No,
right?
that's it.
That's
Just
it.
those minor details.
Well, this is Linda Bodie, Naperville North, our first competitor. Linda Bodie, a freshman.